Hello, hello! In this video, I'd like to share some of my opinions of the Steelseries Prime Wireless. It is a mouse that has a lot of flawed issues, but I think it adds to the charm. Despite it's something I won't recommend in 2024, I do think there are some pretty cool things featured in this mouse. Steelseries in the most recent releases features their TrueMove Air sensor, which is a modified version of the 3335. Much like the RX3, it is a flawless sensor aside from being a higher than normal LOD and the lack of LOD adjustments. The level of motion delay feels similar to the G Pro Wireless. It's snappy and responsive, and I personally don't find anything wrong with it. Since its release in 2021, the Prime Wireless was tested to have incredibly high click latencies. It is quite a shame as it was rather expensive compared to other lesser known brands which were coming out with the 3370 sensor and adjustable D-bands. On December 2022, Steelseries released a firmware update which lowered the click latency for the optical switches. Unfortunately, I do think the ship has sailed. More and more mouse were coming out with the 3395 sensor, and consumer has shifted focus to up-and-coming brands like Lamsu, Fantech, Pulsar, etc. The quality control of this mouse is incredible. I've always liked Steelseries in their line of mice product, and it's as sturdy as they come. Even for budget lines like the Rival 3 Wireless, is built rock solid. Steelseries Prestige OM switches are definitely one of those rare implementations. It uses magnets and its polarities to substitute the tension springs of mechanical switches. Despite what Steelseries claim, the design of magnet switches can be seen in older mice models from other brands like the Maxo S61, Sanhua 400 MA112, and the IROX M36 Pro, which was released roughly a year before Prime's debut. And Steelseries, as far as I know, are the first company to feature magnetic switches in a wireless implementation of a gaming mouse. The switches are a very cool design, relying on magnets to tension the initial press and then push the lever back up to the original position. The Prime Wireless does have also a decent amount of post travel, and users might have to get used to it, especially when they're playing games that require a lot of mass spamming. Following Pulsar's shell design, you could try to mitigate the post travel by adding roughly a millimeter spacer between the main part of the shell underneath the paddles. You would then have to tinker the adjusting plunger to see what actually fits your need. Now onto the reasons why I don't recommend the Prime Wireless for modders. Firstly, replacement parts are very difficult to find. They do look like neodymium magnets, but I'm having trouble finding the correct size on AliExpress or even Taobao and might require custom orders. Second is a very similar issue. The middle mouse button is an elevated square switch, and I'm having trouble finding one of those online too. Third is the battery. The Prime Wireless uses a 500 mAh 3.8 volt LiPo battery, and the lowest capacity I could find using the same configuration is at 1000 mAh. It does seem that Steelseries had special ordered these batteries for this particular implementation. Alternatively, you could try to use the 3.7 volt LiPo battery from a donor mouse to lessen the weight or to replace the battery altogether. However, I've never tried it, but I can't think of any other reasons why it wouldn't work, other than causing your mouse to not work as well. The only anecdotal experience that I have trying to power a system with lower voltage batteries would be my G305. I've used a 1.2 volt nickel metal hydride point cell battery to power the mouse, and I could definitely tell that the mouse feels a lot more unstable. Flick shots would always miss, tracking would feel like it would lag behind. I could only suspect the same effect on the Prime Wireless or any system that uses a battery less than the original voltage rating. The Prime Wireless is an ergo mouse. In terms of shell design, I do find one thing annoying would be the extreme concave left side. This forces my thumb to deliberately curl in order for me to get a solid grip onto the mouse, and even if I were to palm it, there's excess amount of space on the left side of the curve. I would recommend Steelseries change it to maybe bloat it up a little bit. Often I find myself claw gripping the mouse in order to stabilize my grip. Like the RX 3 Wireless, the side buttons are shaped to hug the curvature of the shell's body without being too obvious. I do love the idea, but I do think the side buttons can benefit from being slightly larger. Despite the cons, design-wise, much like the Logitech's Potato and the Razer's Death Adder, the Prime Wireless carries a very distinctive look and I find it awesome. If someone were to put all these mouse on display, just by looking from afar, you could absolutely recognize this is a Steelseries mouse. In conclusion, in 2024, there are many better performing mice out there in the market. There are many other options that are priced similar to the current cost of a Prime wireless, and it also uses better and newer tech. I would not recommend the Prime wireless. However, for those who are mice collectors, the Prime wireless does feature something different, and instead of your regular optical or mechanical micro switches, it uses magnets. And because of the actual spring is not a small leaf spring like the micro switches uses, it's going to last a very, very long time. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.